makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Yeah, we need them. We need those strategies. Those strategies for living. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab? Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan, and she's banging around over there.
I'm just trying to get these shadows at bay.
Banging around over there, calling attention to herself. She is
I am here.
Psychotherapist. No shadow when you're not in a shadow.
No,
PLPC Lauren Leon McMillan. Well, when you shine a light, you sometimes get a shadow. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when you were a kid, Lauren, how very fascinated you were when you first realized, hey, there's a shadow.
Right.
And
yes.
it has something to do with me.
Right. Yeah, and you can make it move.
You didn't know exactly what the heck was happening.
Right.
But you knew that it was fascinating, and you did know at some level, depending on how old you were at this point, but you did realize that it was connected to you. It was a part of you in some way, right?
Right, yeah.
Where do you think we lose our fascination with shadows?
That's a good question.
It is a good question because we're going to talk about shadow. If you were a TikTok user, there's been a lot of shadow work videos.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so...
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, younger people, people of all ages have become more interested in shadow work, and that's a good thing. So we're going to talk about a bit about it this evening. We're going to talk about some of the benefits. We're going to give some strategies because we are strategies for living, right?
Right.
So we're going to give some strategies regarding how you could get started using shadow work.
Playing with. Can we say that?
Yeah, we can say that. You just did. And because it's important. It can be rich.
Absolutely.
It can be rich to do shadow work. We're going to talk about it this evening on Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate our sponsors, the Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Learning RX, and Pintail Roofing, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center. And we welcome Fertitta's Delicatessen, the home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage. We'll be back. We're going to do some shadow work this evening here on Strategies. Stay with us. And welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, and Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, talking about shadow work today. What is it?
We're doing the disco with the shadows.
Yeah, there you go. I got those lights shining bright, huh? What are the benefits of it? How do you get started with it? And I ran across an article from, I think it was back from the first of the year, that was published on prevention.com and written by Shannon Zitz. So I'll tip my hat and thank Shannon for writing this article and Prevention for publishing it. I like prevention.com, and I guess they're still publishing the magazine Prevention. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I've always enjoyed Prevention.
Yeah.
And in whatever iteration it's in. They always have thought-provoking articles, so appreciate them being there. Anyway, most of us, I think, want to be better people, right? We certainly want to be happier people.
Right.
And
I think there's no better time than now to start doing this sort of work.
I couldn't agree more. But where do you start? I mean, if you want to be a better person, you want to be a happier person, you've got to start into you. It involves introspection.
Yes, you got to start within.
So like with shadow work, and shadow work is a type of therapy. It's actually a type of psychotherapy that has you looking inward. And at its very core, it's a way of uncovering our shadow self. Now, that may sound,
it's not evil.
But no,
bad
it's not at all. Your shadow self is your true self, your inner self. And so anytime you gain clarity...
the way I kind of think of it is we all come into the world kind of as this natural child with a natural personality about us, right? And we get talked out of that pretty early on. And as we grow, we experience shame, blame, guilt, fear. And a lot of those things will encourage us to shut down or shove aside or to suppress certain pieces of ourselves, right?
Right.
And we develop coping mechanisms or a face or a mask to put over that. So much so over the years that as we enter adulthood, we may have even completely forgotten about those parts.
We might have even so covered up who we truly are that we don't really know who we are. We don't really know ourselves. So, we talk a lot on the program. You and I both admire and are certainly, I don't know if we're disciples, but we certainly are admirers of Carl Jung.
Yes.
I even proudly wear my Forever Jung T-shirt, right?
Absolutely.
When I'm not wearing my Pink Floyd.
Right. You've got to split them evenly.
Yeah, I do. I really do. But Carl Jung.
But I think those repressed parts are what we call the shadow.
Yeah.
Right. This was just because they've been cast, quote unquote, cast aside into the shadows. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the parts of yourself that you don't like, although they can be.
Yeah.
For sure.
If we really want to become a fully whole individual, you can't do that without doing shadow work.
Right.
Jung and also Joseph Campbell, the mythologist, said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are.
Who you truly are.
Who you truly are. And the fact is, we live in a surface world. Actually, not everybody wants deep.
Right.
They don't want to dive deep. They don't want deep answers.
They want a black and a white, or a right or a wrong, or
and I want
this
it quick.
or that way,
right.
or a left or a right, or a red or a blue.
Right.
Are you hearing the iterations?
I need to say right here at the beginning that if you insist upon that, then that's going to be a problem with shadow work.
Absolutely.
Because if you're just looking for that black and white, that quick solution, shadow work may not be what may not be for you right now.
Right, but it does encourage and start the journey for true, lasting change and happiness and peace and wholeness.
Absolutely. And it has so many benefits psychologically, emotionally, relationship-wise. And we know because of all of the study that's been done over the last 30 years or so on the mind-body connection,
right.
We know that if we get our inner psyche healthier, it can't help but influence the healthiness of our physical self.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just like our friend at the Balanced Life Wellness, Stacy, does her work, right?
Yep.
Which is to
fascinating work too,
find and release the energy blockages within your body, right? And I can't help but speculate if these two are not interconnected and interdependent. These parts of you that you've repressed have become as stored emotions or stored, pieces within the body. And so as you integrate them, you not only feel much better mentally and emotionally, but also physically, because you're truly releasing, you're massaging out and integrating those pieces of you back into.
But you can't change what you don't know is there. Right. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And that's one of the biggest things about shadow work, because a big component of it is getting to know what's called your shadow self, or your inner shadow. And, we referred to this earlier. That might sound scary. That might sound the dark side, or it might sound, I think you mentioned this, you might even think, oh, well, that's bad. That's innately bad. But
not necessarily
No, because your inner shadow just simply refers to all the parts of yourself that you're not consciously aware of.
Right.
And these unconscious elements, these can be beliefs, they can be traits, personality traits, they can be values, they can be behaviors. So, and here's the deal. We can, and you used the term repression.
Yes.
We can repress them. We can shove them down. But, we can't and don't get rid of them.
No.
Some of us
you can't get rid of your shadow, can you?
Well, you can't it's all energy. And you can't get rid of energy. We know that. Quantum physics has proven that to us. When you shove it down far enough, though, it's still there. I can shove it down so far that I even forget. I'm not aware of it anymore.
Right, you're unconscious to it.
But that doesn't mean it's not there, and that doesn't mean it doesn't pack a lot of punch and a lot of energy.
Right, and it starts to come out in really strange ways, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I truly believe that's the origin of our triggers.
Right.
I mean, when somebody says something or does something and you have this, what you might feel is an irrational reaction, okay, well, that's a key.
Right.
That's a shadow part, asking for attention.
And now that we've got YouTube, we've got TikTok, we've got a lot of social media out there that you can get a lot of help. Not all of it is necessarily 100% reliable, valid and reliable, so be careful. But the fact is that there's a proliferation of stuff out there psychologically, and one of those things is shadow work. And so I think that that term has really gained some popularity due to social media like TikTok and YouTube.
I'm glad for it. We all need it.
Yeah, but
we need more of it in the world.
But it's certainly not a new concept. I mean, people might be discovering it and think, "Oh, wow." But for years and years and years, therapists have helped their clients identify their shadow, the shadow side, and
we've really over the years developed further theories upon that. I truly believe IFS, internal family systems, is another iteration of shadow
work. Sure, absolutely. So it's not a new concept at all, but it is a way to help clients understand why the characteristics that they don't like as much about themselves have developed and how they've come out, or how we maintain them. And, so shadow work really is about, it involves an attempt to uncover elements that aren't conscious to us.
Making the unconscious conscious.
Yeah, and so
bringing the shadow to light.
That is the shadow self. So the idea that, everyone, has parts of themselves that have either been repressed, have been ignored, and you made the case earlier, there's not just one thing generally.
No.
There's going to be multiple things. And so that's packed down there, so all of those things are going to influence how we perceive the world and how we perceive ourselves. Mm-hmm. And, these aspects of our unconscious can be positive, but they can also be negative.
Yep.
There are positive elements that are down there in our shadow, but there are negative ones, like being self-critical as a for instance. And so if we shine the light, if we become aware of all the different aspects of ourselves, we can't change what we don't acknowledge.
Right.
So by shining the light, by doing the work, and, I don't want to make anybody think as we're talking about this, you and I get told often by someone that we care about, y'all make everything sound so easy.
Yes.
And, here's the thing. A lot of psychology is fairly simple to explain. Doesn't mean that it's easy to do.
Right.
And shadow work goes into that.
Definitely qualifies.
Yeah, definitely qualifies for that. We're talking me and my shadow today here on Strategies for a Living. Talking about shadow work. We're going to come back, talk about the benefits, and talk about how you and I can start doing it. Yeah, the practice of it. That's all to come here on Strategies for Living. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with LearningRx Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, LearningRx Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call LearningRx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does LearningRx Shreveport.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
And welcome back into Strategies for Living Radio. Glad you're here with us. That's not in the shadows. Yeah.
No.
Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. We are talking about doing a little shadow work today on strategies. And let's talk about how what are the big payoffs?
Okay. Yeah.
Because
why would I do that? Why would I want to look at something that I've forgotten about since childhood, and I shoved it down for good reason? Darn it!
And people are saying probably at this point, well, you guys have already said it's going to be, it's not easy. It's tough.
No, it's a lifelong journey. Quite honestly.
And so but it's worth. I would tell any of us, including myself, it's worth the investment.
I think it's life's greatest.
So, because if you have a better understanding of yourself, then you basically have a better self-acceptance if by acknowledging and accepting all your parts, including your shadow. What you will be able to cultivate then is self-compassion and understanding that, okay, imperfections are an integral part of being human.
And through that, we can then have compassion with others. And we can always use more compassion in the world.
Absolutely.
Especially now.
Oh, big time. Big time. And we're going to need it. We're going to need it through the rest of this year into next year and onward. Yeah. And you and I have talked, and I hope that, I hope that we are wrong. But when you look at the world, and I'm not just talking about the United States, I'm talking about our entire world.
Humanity.
When you look at our life on the planet in the 21st century, for as much as we have, as much as we know, as much as we've gained, and you take a broad view, you really back up and you say, wow, there's this planet is in need of some healing.
Absolutely. It's screaming for it.
So, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about where that's going to take us. Again, I'm not just talking the nation. I'm talking the entire world.
No, and this is where shadow work, I believe, becomes so vital, is because anything we see out in the world, violence, war, divisiveness, polarity,
is within humanity, meaning judgment. It's within me.
Right. Yeah. And not only that, but, this is beautiful where the idea of a shadow comes into play, right?
Right.
Because what that means is that it's a projection, right?
Yep.
And so it appears to be out there. The shadow appears to be out there.
Yep.
And so I can't do anything about it. But just as you discover as a child, well,
that
this
I am my shadow,
right? It's connected to me.
Yeah.
And not only that, but can you realize that the shadow, we can get really down in the darkness that we see in the world, which we might call the shadow, right?
Yeah.
But here's the important piece. A shadow is not possible without light.
Light, yeah.
Right? And so it's about being able to know and focus on, the light has to be there for the shadow to be seen, to be visible.
And we don't ever want to forget that. And I hope I'm wrong, that the next months ahead, maybe even years ahead,
brother, there is
going to be bumpy. I hope I'm wrong about that. But I think there's some, there's some bumps to come. So
I think we're engaged in collective shadow work if we choose to pick it up.
And that's my main selling point, if you will, for the benefit of doing this. Because when you do, when any of us do shadow work, we heal emotional wounds. What does shadow work do? It involves confronting past hurts and trauma and
acknowledging them, accepting them, and bringing them into the fullness of who you are.
And now, when we do that, we can heal. And there can be relief from trauma and repressed pain. So, I want to make sure that we get it real clear that, this is not easy work to do. It's hard work to do, but it's work that is worth it.
Absolutely.
Now, let's stop here and say, I think it's possible, and I would encourage all of us to engage in our own shadow work. At the same time, I think it is a good place here to insert that you may want to ask for some assistance along the way. And never before in our history have we had as many people trained to aid us and help us psychologically and emotionally.
And available.
And they're available to us in the form of licensed professional counselors, licensed clinical social workers.
And while we have a wonderful group of human beings in that category in our area,
right,
that's not to include anybody you can get online through the various apps,
right,
which are reputable.
We also have spiritual, spiritual counselors. We have life coaches. So there's a lot of people that are available to help us. And so if you want to do this work, and you're saying, this sounds like something I need to do, but I don't know where to begin. Well, there's help available. So just let me say that at this point. Another reason that I think that it's a real benefit of doing that is when you do shadow work, you end up improving your relationship with yourself. If you improve your relationship with yourself, you improve your relationship with everyone else.
And everything.
Yeah. So as you understand your own triggers, as you understand your own patterns, then you can relate more authentically and more compassionately with others.
Yep.
And so not only is there increased self-acceptance, but there's increased awareness and self-awareness. So you can begin to figure out, and understand, here's my motivations, here's what's going on inside of me that, and once I get that, once I understand it, now it empowers me to make healthier, conscious choices.
Right.
Choices are always available to us. We can begin again in the next moment.
Second.
Right.
Yeah.
In the next second.
We can start over and over and over again.
And so again, now, what does that lead to? What does that mean? Well, it means emotional freedom is what it means.
Yeah.
It means a lot more emotional freedom, because when you integrate the shadow, it frees you up from...
No, all of a sudden, you're no longer being triggered, into anxiety or fear or anger at the drop of a hat, because you've dealt with that. You've recognized, okay, each time I experience such a strong emotion, that's my little warning light to say, oh, there's something unexamined here.
Right.
And I've done the work and I've processed it. And yeah, it's going to take some time where it might pop up again and again, but hopefully with this work, it'll be less and less. And then one day you might not even realize, that,
I've got a lot more freedom.
That didn't bother me. And, 2 years ago, that would have sent me out the door. Right.
But now it's just, okay, I see that. I acknowledge it. It's there. So what?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a lot greater emotional freedom.
A lot of energy.
Yeah, and it allows you to feel liberated. It allows you to feel free, more balanced, whole, And I don't know, but who doesn't want that, right? And again, I hope all of that is understandable, that if I do all of those things, then it helps me cope. I'm going to end up with better coping skills in this world. If you've got a shadow
part in you that won't allow you to even do this or begin to do this for you, okay, I want you to do this for me. I want you to do this for your kids. I want you to do this for your grandkids, for your neighbors, because each of us, as we become more whole human beings, it helps the whole of us.
Can't help.
No.
We're all one. We're all connected, even though our egos, would tell us otherwise and try to convince us otherwise.
That we're separate.
And do everything they can to... the ego is supposed to. That's what it's supposed to do. It's. I'm not trying to make it evil or bad. It does its job because,
It helps to keep us contained within the body so that we can have this experience. Right. It's a great gift in and of itself as well.
Right. And as it serves us over the period of time that it serves us, there comes a point where in some of our lives, it bites us in the behind, you know?
Yeah, kind of liken it maybe to like a scuba mask, right?
Yeah.
Like we're experiencing this world in the physical, and the ego may be the scuba mask, right?
Yeah.
And if we've got a bunch of self-debilitating or, off-putting messages or beliefs in the ego, it's almost like going around with fogged up scuba goggles. Right?
That's a good analogy. Yeah, I mean, you can do it and you can see, but you don't see well.
The scuba goggles aren't inherently bad or inherently good.
No.
They just allow for this experience.
Yep, there you go.
That's the same. As close as I can get anyway.
I think that's pretty good stuff. We're talking about shadow work today. When we come back, we are Strategies for Living, so we've promised, okay, how do we do this? How do we start? And so, we won't keep you in the shadow. We'll put the light on this and talk about some strategies to begin shadow work. That's coming back right here on Strategies for Living. So stay here. Don't go away. Be right back.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail, alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. The Padres bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather alligator Italian sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather alligator Italian sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's, thebalancedlife.us. And welcome back into Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, and we are talking about shadow work today here on Strategies.
I just realized something interesting.
Yeah.
You know the story. Well, I'm thinking of the actual Disney film Peter Pan, right?
Yeah.
Because within it, there's the other character is his shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like throughout, my memory might be, lacking, but I'm feeling like he fought with his shadow throughout the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like there was this kind of back and forth between Peter Pan and his shadow.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how poignant is that?
Yeah.
Because perhaps it was, the inner workings of Peter who didn't want to grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so maybe part of his wrestling, his shadow work was, trying to wrestle with and embrace this idea that, well, we're going to have to give up childhood.
Yeah.
We have to give up these ideals of child play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, okay, so the strategy stuff. How do we start this? Okay, so now I'm going to get a little controversial because if there's any professionals listening out there, I've got one sitting next to me. Certainly some people may take the position, well, shadow work is best done with a trained professional because the shadow is unconscious. Mm-hmm. And while, as I acknowledged earlier, I think that, it can be very important to be open to working with a mental health professional or a life coach.
I don't think it's necessary.
I don't. And I, if you can, I don't know that we have any trained Jungian analyst here. Mm-hmm. We probably have in town some people who have gone and done some Jungian work and studies, but that's a long process to become a Jungian analyst. Kind of akin to becoming a psychoanalyst in the Freudian model.
Right.
But so it takes a lot of years. I don't know that we have anybody here that does that, but we do have some people that, that practice Jungian methods here. Mm-hmm. And that can be very helpful, but I don't think it's 100% necessary. I do think that we need to be open if we run into a roadblock to go there.
Yeah.
But I think we can start shadow work in some simple ways. One strategy that I know you know a lot about is journaling. Mm-hmm. And journaling, if you'd like to start shadow work, one of the practices that is golden is journaling.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting to know those parts of you. But I think it also, and you can find all kinds of particular shadow work prompts out there.
Yeah. In fact,
one I might start with.
I want to give some.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one I might start with is what are your pet peeves in other people?
Yeah.
What really triggers you about other people?
And let yourself just write
about that.
Yeah.
And then how do you see this in yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. And that might be a separate writing.
Yeah, definitely.
That might be at a separate time. Mm-hmm. And each one of these that we give, I mean, it might be good to write on that one day, set it aside, come back and read it, and how do I see this in myself?
Yes, definitely. That would be a good practice.
Another prompt would be, what are some beliefs that you hold true about yourself? Are some beliefs that you hold true about the world? And let yourself write on that.
Yeah, in other words, begin with the idea of I am. And how would you describe yourself? Fill in those blanks. I am blank, I am blank, I am blank.
And again, the same thing, write on it one day, set it aside, come back and read it, and then maybe write a little bit further on it with, okay, I see these beliefs and hold these beliefs true about myself, true about the world. You might even use, a form of questioning. Is that true? Do I absolutely positively know that to be true? When I tell myself that's true, what does it produce? If I questioned the truth of that belief, how would it change my life?
Yeah.
Just writing on that can be very informative. You might be surprised at some of the things that you uncover and some of the things that you find.
And then maybe even digging into, where did you pick that belief up from?
Yeah.
Like, where did you first learn that belief? If there's a specific instant or instances which communicated that, help solidify that idea within you.
One more prompt. Are there traits or behaviors that you notice in your family that, really irritate you?
Right. Yeah.
Really get you? And write it. Allow yourself to write on it. And then put it up. And then come back the next day and say, do I see any of these in me?
Right. Yeah. That's very similar to
and write about that. So journaling can be, a big way to begin. You mentioned triggers earlier, Lauren.
Yes.
Observing, just tuning into what triggers you. Triggering is anything that causes a feeling and emotion, and especially hot ones, right?
Yeah.
So being willing to notice your reactions to situations and to people that make you feel very strongly. Those are often shadow elements that are there.
And they often tell you, okay, there is some underlying belief or suppression happening within me that I'm frustrated about quite often.
Yeah.
It's about asking yourself, okay, what was it really? And maybe a good way to start this with any strong triggering emotion, right? These emotions want to be seen. Okay?
Yeah.
So ask yourself, SEEN.
Yeah.
Seen. What am I scared of?
Yep.
What am I expecting?
Yep.
What am I embarrassed by? Or what do I need?
Okay.
Because quite frequently, not 100%, but quite frequently, one of those four, or maybe a little bit of all of those four questions, can get you underneath that big triggering feeling to help you find that underlying belief or a need, unmet need, which is part of your shadow.
Probably should have started with this one, but I'm getting to it now, so that's...
Go for it.
Set the intention. When you start doing this, set the intention within yourself, hey,
I am open to integrating the shadow pieces within
I want to
me.
see.
Yeah.
I want to see the shadow pieces.
Affirmation.
That I may not be aware of. And that intention is very powerful when we set it. So we're talking about shadow work today here on Strategies for Living. And we'll be right back. Stay here. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, Our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, dancing with our shadows today.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is fun. It's fun to... one of my favorite pictures of you and I
yes,
is
exactly
out.
Which
yeah,
one you're talking about.
Is with our shadows ahead of us.
Right.
And,
it reminds me of when I was little, right? And we used to play shadow puppets on the wall, right? And we were fascinated with how we can make our hand turn into these different creatures, which could be ferocious looking, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty apropos for shadow work, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we can make these beliefs and twist them up and make them appear as really gnarly monsters out there in the world.
But they're all a part of me.
Right.
And, the things that I see in others are somewhere in me too. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a matter of being willing to do the work and put in the work and the effort and the time.
And be playful and compassionate along the way.
And just remember this, you mentioned earlier, well, why would I do that? Because you're worth it. Mm-hmm. Because
the world's worth it. We need
Absolutely.
it. We need us all to do this.
But even more important than that, Lauren, and I don't disagree with you. Yes, the world is worth it. But, we're all pretty self-focused. And so you're worth it.
Yep.
You are worth it. You're
are.
worth the time. You're worth the investment. And it will pay off.
Oh,
no question.
Tremendously.
No question about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And wrestling with our shadow is worth it. Folks, thank you. Thank you for being a part of Strategies for Living. We do this for you, and we can do it because we have wonderful sponsors. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
And Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center. And now, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, alligator, Italian sausage. You got to go get some of this stuff. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.